C-130, known as the Hercules. It's also known as Fat Albert. It's used for maritime patrol for the United States Marine Corps at NASJRB, the Naval Air Station. There's a cat named Crook. So the cat is named Crook because he steals his cat food. Right, Crook? Look what he's done there. I'm probably gonna keep this right here, even though this cat's famous. Let's try some lime. Cat named Crook. Kitty, you know better. He knows not to go around wires. You can see it in his body, though. If you look at him, the wire is actually he's not grabbing the wire. It's actually underneath. So the wire is actually over here. They're smarter than dogs. Here, move this right here. And they also, this cat, well trained. In Russia, they can do it. They can train cats to be drug dogs. They're called drug cats. A drug dog can find it and they're loyal, but cats, they have a way of signaling. There he goes. They'll do something like that. They have to be trained, and they use clickers. In Moscow or in Russia, they use these clickers, and they can train the cat. They had them in a circus show where the cats were doing backflips. They have it online. It's a trained circus act with cats. If you can train a cat to jump through a loop, you can train them to be a part of any task force team. They're quiet, and some are even trained to be around dogs. There's dogs and cats that'll lay together. Look at that. Good kitty. He's investigating everything. He's very investigated. In the story, what we're going to use him for is a cat named Crook. It's actually an indie film that we're going to be working on next year. He's playing the cat named Crook, and he is the pet of a guy named Hopperhead. Hopperhead knows Kitty, and Kitty is a mute. She's also she's got epilepsy, and she speaks in tongues. Hello.
Hello.
Kitty. Kitty wouldn't talk in the film. It'd be noir. Also, just to let you know, there's Rob the Runner, who's a runner. He's also nicknamed Carl Lewis. And then the fourth character is known as Bird. He's a famous YouTuber that gets involved in The Ring. It was originally called The Ring. I'm still working on it. The cat named Crook. Whoever wants to come aboard, leave a comment. There he is, cat named Crook. All right, so we are going to be recording. Okay, we were once the Linda and Cole band. Then we became the Cole and Linda Filmmaker Band. Then we became Peace Child Beautiful. She plays clarinet and the recorder, and she does a shaker. There's the clarinet. I'm sorry, the recorder. We got to get her a clarinet. That's the recorder. And she sings and does improv. We got a new one today. I'm not going to give you the name of the song, but it starts with MD2. So the abbreviations of the song is MD2, but I'm not giving you the name of it until later because we have to wait. But it'll be released probably on the 25th. We did an improv on our first one. Well, almost all of our songs were improv. So is Woody Guthrie, so we don't have anything to worry about. Let's go back to Kitty. Are you okay, Kitty? We got him a new box. Look at that kitty. Look at that kitty. He loves his boxes. He's just running you're running everything, aren't you, Kitty? Running the whole program, inspecting everything. Because Kitty doesn't like dogs barking. Do you, Kitty? They're smarter than dogs. These animals are smarter than chimps. Cats are very intelligent. Some actually believe they have magic powers and that they're more intelligent than people. Some even believe that they're aliens. And Grace, the cat, okay, I won't tell them. Grace, aka Werevlog, the cat's an important subject. But in that movie, the cat's named Garlane. And a cat named Crook, he's named Crook. Right, Kitty? And this is Hopperhead. All right, I'm going to give a sneak peek. I'm just going to play the music only, not the dialogue, or what they know as the lyric.
Oh, here's the good part. They come in. I fell underneath the roof.
All right, 72 degrees Fahrenheit. We're at 211,780 miles on the odometer. It is April 19, 2024. Welcome to the Please Subscribe show. There's traffic at about 4:47 p.m. Coming right out of, well, passing Hewlin Street, Fort Worth. What is this right here, people? Is it 35? We'll call it 35 for now. The other one way over there is 30. 820 circles Fort Worth like a gate, where it keeps the good people in and the bad people out. It'll circle. Also, if you look down, it looks kind of like an object. I'm going to talk about what it looks like, but it just, you know, if you look at it, you're like, oh my God. Cat named Crook, in development, did some Facebook posts, a couple of them. Zuckerberg's looking it over. Now, Zuckerberg worked with a friend of mine named Drake Dormis on one of the first published online movies on a platform like Facebook. It was called Beauty Inside. I auditioned for it. When I auditioned, I was living in a small attic-style apartment. A lady was named Rita. I believe she was called Rita. Yeah, her name was Rita. I sometimes get her mixed up with Irene. Her name is Rita. She was my landlord in Maine. And I lived on High Street, where I wrote Escape from Maine, which is a book. I also wrote several short stories and stuff in a place called Parkman, Maine, in a cabin right next to where Bert Cassavetes, the owner of Burt Bees, lived before he passed away. He lived in Bert was a millionaire. Well, he was more like almost a billionaire, but he only had a few million. I think he only had 20 million. Roxy, his girlfriend, had like 600 million or something going to her name. He lived in a small little cabin with no electricity, no water, no running water. He'd carry his water and chop his wood, and it was a pot-belly stove. He'd hang out at the gas station like a homeless guy and read the paper, but he wore like, I don't know, Neiman Marcus style coats and stuff. He was very well dressed, but he had a big beard. I talked to him, I interviewed him for Escape from Maine, which is a book. Now, I've offered this screenplay to a guy named Johnny Whitworth. He is a movie star that was in Empire Records. He played AJ just the other day. So we're going to hopefully get launched out with Escape from Maine. Other people that I want on board for Escape from Maine, and we'll get to Cat Named Crook later. On Escape from Maine, which is also known as Escape from Me, is Alec Baldwin. I asked him to play, well, I'm asking him to play the role of the ghost father, or what's known as the is it fatherly ghost figure? It has a name in it. You have to read the screenplay. Boy, I don't know how he's going to get it. If I get an email, send it to you, wherever you're at, if you have a device on you. At least a device like this. That's like the new page. That's like the new mailing system right here. It's like the United States Postal Service in your hand. They even have an app for it. I got to take my shirt and turn it inside out or overside out. Alec Baldwin is probably one of our greatest actors. My favorite role, Glengarry Glen Ross. A.D.W.C. Always be closing. This is a set of steak knives. Okay, we got it. Put down that coffee. Coffee is for closers. Okay, we know who he is. I want him to be the fatherly ghost figure in Escape from Maine. If we can get him on board, I think it'd be perfect for him right now. I know the whole thing about Rust, just put it aside. But we'll have to look past that. I don't think anyone's career is ever over. It happened to Fatty Arbuckle because he was set up. Did you know Fatty Arbuckle was set up? Yeah, it was a setup. That's what happened to Alec Baldwin, probably. There's a good chance. We don't know. We'll have to watch the news. It comes on every once in a while in sporadics, not like Trump, where it's every day. Alec Baldwin will come on and everyone's like, what? What's going on? Where is he? Anyway, he's got a great voice. So the ghostly father figure can be used just as a voice, and it talks to a character in Escape from Maine. And that main protagonist character has a father. His name is Samuel. Well, not the father, but the protagonist is Samuel. Okay, he also goes by Jonah Samuel Camden III. He's a writer that's in Maine. He's stuck there because his parents conned him, or his mom and stepdad conned him into moving up there to spend some time up north. He hates it, but he lives there anyway. It's kind of a comedy, but it's more of a dramedy. He meets a character in it that looks exactly like Kurt Vonnegut, and the guy doesn't let him in because people don't always let you in. In Maine, if it's freezing and they don't let you in, the person goes to jail. The person that owns the home, because it'll kill you. Maine can kill you like that. So when it's freezing in Maine, it's -20, and you deny someone's entrance, they can just walk into your home. It's actually a true story. They can walk into your home in Maine. And if you tell them to get out, then you go to jail for protecting your last castle. There are no last castles in Maine. Here we go. There's also no railroad system. There's Grease and Mary Poppins. Grease will be there in June. That's a Casa Manana advertisement. Now listen, there's no last castles in Maine during the wintertime. Everybody has the right to stay warm, or they'll freeze to death like a popsicle. If you were like, get out of my house, they would only have 5 minutes to live. You would be charged with murder. So your doors are open in Maine, right? So go in peace. Okay, 5482.2. First one for right now. We're gonna clear out this. So we go boom, and we go boom. And then we look at it later. Got it. It's a classic. Big time. You can hear it. Listen to the engine. Oh, no, you can't. No, you can't. I could. There it goes. All right. Nothing more to say about Cat Named Crook. I'm going to keep the screenplay light. This is going to be a project that I'm going to do. I'm going to direct it. I'm going to get the actors on board, and I'm going to go from there. Mostly from like notes and stuff. And then what I'll do is, you know, once they get on board, I'll just send them pieces of the script. So they're like, get ready for this. You've got a month. We're going to be shooting this scene, you know. It's not heavy dialogue. It's not necessarily a play. Okay? So, but it's not Quentin Tarantino. But it is a dramedy, so it's comedy and drama. And it involves a thief that worked with A.D.W.C for about maybe 10 years. Then he switched over to Cricket Wireless. He lived in Georgia for a while, and he liked Gone with the Wind. He became a David Lynch fan. He liked Blue Velvet, makes fun of Frank Booth by sipping on helium from a balloon. Makes his voice like, come on, let's be, you know, and that kind of stuff. Like, don't look at me, don't look at me, don't look at me. And he's not real crazy like Frank Booth. He's just a jokester. But he kind of rogued out and realized that some of these high-profile phones don't need to be around. So he hires a guy named Rob the Runner who will get some of these high-profile phones, like people that, you know, what's going on there? Some kind of meeting. Yeah, in third world countries, they'd break that up. But anyway, regardless, Rob the Runner works with him. He also calls him Carl Lewis. Okay, he's a younger guy that can run real fast. Now, the other guy is Bird. It's kind of like maybe like an A.D.W.C. Maybe even A.D.W.C. The Bird kind of discovers him. And he's a small-time business guy. And how he discovers him is because his phone just vanishes. Doesn't know where it's at. But he put a tracker on it. Just like No Country for Old Men. He follows a tracker with a transponder. And it leads him to his hut. His little hideout. Where Kitty lives. And Kitty's a mute. She doesn't speak. She's also gifted with the tongue, so she speaks only in tongues. If she does speak, it's only in tongues. And she's epileptic. But she's the best at opening these phones. These old school phones. She knows how to do it. Now, she can get a hold of valuable information, which is on his old phone. Bird wants his phone back. There's the story. Where's the rub? So basically, what happens eventually is Rob the Runner gets hurt. Okay, and we'll get into that later. But he also hurts the feelings of Hopperhead, who owns a cat named Crook. He calls the cat Crook because he thinks sometimes he steals the dry food or whatever. The cat's real smart and can get into things. He can like climb in on the side of the walls and open up the doors, kind of like Miss Kitty. I had a cat named Miss Kitty, who was also known as Princess or Princess Leia. She was real good at like opening French doors and stuff. This cat's like really smart. Okay, there we go. So what ends up happening, it's kind of a love story, you know, like in a way, like an older love story. And then what ends up happening is Hopperhead finally feels bad and decides to go clean and realizes that the refurbished business of smartphones is hurting other people, and has a sit down with Rob the Runner. What Bird does is he develops him. He teaches him how to run the show. The reason why I had him work for Cricket Wireless is so he would have a connection with phones. He feels like, well, I'll just start my own business. Back in the day when these phones first started, I'm talking about smartphones. When they first started, the security was very different. And the phone itself and the iOS was different. And also the Androids were weaker. The battery power was horrible. People would lose their phones all the time. They couldn't handle it. It was too emotional. All of a sudden, Rob the Runner finds revenue on just getting the phones. He runs the phones to Hopperhead. Hopperhead gives the phones to Kitty. It's a noir. Maybe black and white. I've talked about black and white. Yeah, I would go black and white because it's going to be a first feature probably. Mine are always first features. So, you know, he's like, okay, let's try it out, you know. And then all of a sudden, Kitty figures this kind of otherworldly way to open the phones. It's a very weird thing. She wears a mask and she goes through all this speaking in tongues and does all this like weird things with the phone. And then the phone just opens. Very strange. And then she like speaks in tongues and the phone opens. Like, wow, you're really good at this. Then they start investigating the phones and stuff. So they're making like a fortune. It's kind of it's a long kind of way to explain it, but that's the short of it. So in Possibility with Hopperhead, also need to say this, his nickname is the Cricket. That's what Rob the Runner calls him. Of course, now Kitty can only make a sign with her hands, Cricket, right? Or however she does that. And Bird ends up knowing him as the Cricket first, before he figures his name. When he talks to him, you know, he doesn't call him Hopperhead. He calls him the Cricket. So that dialogue, you know, would be, you know, the Cricket. He didn't say, Mr. Hopperhead, can I blah, blah, blah. He calls him Cricket. He said, just call me Cricket. Because he was involved with the opening of Cricket Wireless. They're a competitor. They competed with all of them, AT&T and every one of them. Also, AT&T and A.D.W.C are practically the same. They're all the way from Louisiana. All right, 633 3.4.